the moon and the stars, and nature. Only those conversant with the secret language of antiquity are capable of understanding the divine significance of these emblems from the secret teachings of all ages. Evidently, these symbols ever remained the same in their value, but their public meanings change from age to age. The number 6 can be stated in many different ways through the G, symbol of God, gnosis, generation, geometry, and goat. The S, O, V, and U were all serpent symbols. 3, 4, 7, 8, and 10 were numbers that were used to represent this cosmic power. The arrow, the cross, the circle and the cross, the stigma, and the 1 all symbolize the generating principle of the sexual god of nature. The next row represented this great 7-headed serpent, this great 666 power, the Trinity of heaven. And the last row, the S, or the Shin of the Hebrew alphabet, was a trident symbolizing Trinity. The pentagram represented the forces of nature. Up, when one point pointed up, it represented the upper houses of the zodiac. When it pointed down, it represented the rulership of the lower houses of the zodiac. The equilateral triangle equals 360-degree angles, and when it was placed over itself, like this hexagram, or the 6-pointed star, it symbolized the generative powers of nature and became the evil star in witchcraft. All of these symbols represented the same thing. The occult priests believed in one monotheistic force that surrounded them and flowed throughout all nature, but they taught the people a superstitious fear religion of many, many gods. They surrounded these poor people's lives with myths and symbols of gods. The supreme symbol of God was the sun. We find the sun was pointed to as the source of all life and of all health. The reflection of the god of the sun in the underworld was believed to be the gold that was found in the earth, and so it was holy. It was this sacred gold that was kept in the pagan temples, and the gods were plated with it. When the church took over the pagan world, she also adopted gold, and we find that within the cathedrals and the churches of the Christian world today, there is gold, gold, gold everywhere. The treasuries are filled with gold. The statues are gold. And the architecture is gold. In fact, the church itself has the largest percentage of gold of any organization in the world. As the ancients squinted at the sun, it became a cross in their eyelids, and so the cross was the first hieroglyph or symbol of the sun. We see it here on that boundary stone in the British Museum from Mesopotamia, on the chest of the god, on these cylinder seals from 3,000 years before Christ, and on coins throughout the pagan world. This cross was universal. On this seal, we find that the circle and the cross is united. This symbol of male and female in union was adopted in Africa as a symbol of fertility among the natives. And in Egypt, it is the Ankh, the symbol of the immortal life. Here, the apostatizing Christians in the Coptic culture adopted the pagan symbol of life as a symbol of their religious teachings. It had no connection with the cross of Calvary when it was first adopted into the church. The cross of the pagan god was taken into the church in every form before her history was over with. And today, we find that these crosses and pagan symbols are to be found on her altars, in her architecture. We find that the cross is the main object of worship in the church today. It's hung around the neck as an amulet. The priests lay in the shape of it in the floor in their initiation. Another form of the cross is this double cross, the ancient Babylonian sun god Shamash. We see it reflected in symbolism all over Mesopotamia. Here it is in this coin from Greece, and here it is in the floor of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, Italy. This double cross can be found everywhere in the church. Another form of the sun god is this symbol of a wheel within a wheel. It's found on Apollo's chariot and in this Assyrian sun god. This Egyptian god Hathor, the eye of Osiris, is a wheel. Just as in Karnak, India, there are wheels all around the temple complex there. This Buddhist solar wheel is found in Thailand, a Persian solar wheel, Greek solar wheels, and this Roman solar wheel is in a libation bowl of this Roman priest. In 1963 in Tikal, this sacred libation bowl was discovered. It's a wheel within a wheel. And if you'll notice the double cross and then the single cross in the middle, it's a perfect solar wheel, just like the wheel in St. Peter's Square at St. Peter's Basilica, the largest solar wheel in the world. Solar wheels can be found all over the churches today. Wheels in the ceilings and wheels in the floor. Here we see a picture of a bishop holding a wheel and a painting of Mary holding a wheel herself. Another form of the wheel from the Orient is the wheel of life, the Buddhist wheel of life. It represents the three aspects of the cosmic forces. It can be seen on their advertisements and in their work. This Shinto shrine in London shows this solar wheel of the sun, 3 sixes in union. And just down the street and around the corner is Westminster Cathedral. And on the floor in one of her chapels is the same Oriental solar wheel, 3 sixes in union. Sol, or the sun god, was universally worshipped throughout the world. We found not only in Rome but in Greece. This face in the sun, representing the spirit of the sun, can be seen. Here on a temple in Greece is the god Apollo. And notice the straight and wavy lines. It represents the merge of male and female. The very same symbolism is to be found on this Catholic altar, or in this Catholic pulpit in Scandinavia, and on this Jesuit chapel. In Burgos Cathedral, the sun is looking around behind Jesus on the altar, while in the canopy of Bernini in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, faces of the sun look down at you from the top of the canopy. Other churches show the sun in the apex of the dome, ceilings, and in floors. The sun is everywhere throughout the Christian system today. This heart shows the rays of the sexual symbolism around them. The pagans worshiped the heart. They would tear it from the flesh and offer it to the sun while it was still beating. This worship of the Sacred Heart can be seen in statuary all around the world. This is the statue of Quetzalcoatl, and although his chest cavity is just ribs, the heart is alive, just as it is on the chest of Jesus Christ. These Sacred Hearts become an important part of the worship of the Christian Church. Here it is in a window above the clouds as the sun in the sky, or as the heart of Mary with 7 knives stuck in it, a reflection of the ancient worship of the 7 planetary gods. The sun is also seen as a red disk. In Egypt, it's the god Ra. We find here Osiris is holding up the sun, or over the head of Horus, Heraki. These red circles can be seen in the floors of the churches or on their altars as well. Above the head of the king in this tomb is the symbol of Trinity in Egypt. 2 serpents around the red sun, representing Ra, Amun, and Osiris. As we look back to the chapel in Westminster Cathedral, we find 2 serpents intertwined around a red disk. Why has the church adopted these things? The golden disc also represents the sun. We see it not only in Egypt, but in Scandinavia. Evidently, this disc is placed behind the head of a deity to indicate that it is God. Even throughout the Orient, we see this over and over again, and behind the head of St. Peter. These discs, once called aureoles, now called halos, have filled the church, a remnant of sun worship. This blazing disc around Krishna is clearly a halo, and this ring around this Hindu god is clearly a halo. And here the same type of ring is behind the head of Mary. Another symbol is the nimbus. It came from the pagan worship of the generative powers, the worship of the female organ. The ancient placed gods in this symbol to represent that they represent the power of generation or life, and the church has placed her saints and Mary and Christ in the same symbol.